Have you ever wondered what successful entrepreneurs know that you don't yet know, or what they're doing that you aren't yet doing in order to be successful? Well, in this video, I'm going to reveal what seems to be like a mystery behind other people's success that has you wondering why not you, or when will it be your turn? I'm going to give you 7 things that multiple six, seven, and even eight-figure earners are doing so that you can do it too, because you are taking action, you're listening to the podcast, you're reading the books, and you're watching the YouTube videos. If you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, make sure you do so. So if you're doing all of these things, why do you still feel like there is something missing, and what could possibly be missing? When I made my first 6 figures, I knew all of these 7 things that I'm going to share with you, but I was not intentional about doing them consistently. This is what made my business feel like I was in between hustle and flow. It felt like a yo yo. I often imagine a kid riding a bike, trying to steady the bike, but instead the bike just keeps weaving and bobbing, and then they'll find a moment of steadiness just to lose it again. So I was in between this hustle and flow within my business. And when I say hustle, I just want to clarify that we're on the same page about hustle. I mean attempting to force an outcome. I do believe in working hard. I do believe that we have to have effort in our business. We have to have grit. And most importantly, we have to have a level of urgency matched with intensity in order to see results. But when I say hustle, I mean forcing a result to happen, using this willpower to try to push it through. But I was back and forth between this hustle and flow, and I couldn't find steadiness. So I have since restructured my business. I have set a new foundation. And before I reveal these 7 things, I got to be fully honest and fully transparent. The common thread amongst these 7 things is my walk with Jesus and really understanding what it means to have him be the CEO of my life, of my business, and to completely guide me as I move along this journey in life and in business. And so I've got an entire video on how I restructured my business as a newer believer. I'll link that down below. But as I share with you these 7 things, I don't want you to think about them lightly, because guaranteed you know exactly what these 7 things are, but you're very likely not doing them. You just have this knowingness in your head that these things are important, but knowing is not the same thing as doing. There are so many times where we learn something new, and because we learned it, our brain thinks that we are taking action on it. It's not the same thing. We have to be able to implement these things. And as one of my mentors always says, I'm going to keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again until y'all get it, until y'all do it. So I don't want you to turn this video off because you're saying to yourself, oh, I know that already. I want you to actually ask yourself, are you doing what I am saying? And are you doing it consistently? So first things first is you want to audit your environment. You want to take a look at the people you are surrounded by. If you find yourself in a circle with mediocre people, it is going to be so much easier for you to dim your light and for you to come down to their level than it is for them to reach up towards yours. If you've ever heard that crabs in a barrel analogy, where the crabs are climbing to the top and there's always this one, but then all the others are pulling it down, it's going to be so much easier for you to get pulled down if you are in an environment where there are mediocre people. This isn't a judgment. This isn't a hit. This isn't to shame anybody. But there are people that just have either given up on their assignment, just lack purpose, they lack progression in their life, and they're going to want to kill your dream. Sometimes on purpose, sometimes unintentionally, because they wish they could do what you are doing. And if you have grown up as a people pleaser, if you have grown up as a person who's always wanted to make other people around you comfortable, then it's going to be really easy for you to shrink back instead of expand, because you're going to want to make sure that you're not making other people around you feel bad. You're not going to want to shine too bright in order to make them upset, because there is still a part of you that is looking to be liked and loved and accepted. And if you've been running with that crew or running with that circle or that crowd for a while, then the last thing you're going to want to do is create any kind of friction between you and the group that you are with. But you being in an environment that isn't serving you is holding you back. And so you've got to be okay with other people misunderstanding you. You've got to be okay with leading and just knowing some people will come and some people won't, and that's okay. When God is propelling you and promoting you, there are people that just aren't allowed to be there anymore because they are toxic to your growth. And so I want you to ask yourself, is there anybody right now that you can't be yourself around? Is there anybody that you have to shape shift for? You got to dodge. You got to move. You got to do this, all because you're trying to make them feel comfortable and you're making space for them instead of you being able to just take up some space and them be okay with that. So it's really essential that you find a room. Find a room that you can grow into. I was really fortunate when I first started my very first business back in 2014. I was making $0 in business. I had just learned about making money online and I joined this mastermind. And I was making $0 in a room with multiple 6, 7, and 8-figure earners. And I used to think to myself, now I'm like, wow, I got to see what making money online looked like when all I had known was getting a good education, getting a good old job, and retiring at some point in time. But when I got exposed to the internet, I was like, wow, these people are not retiring. These people are having so much fun. They have no bone in their body that wants to stop what they're doing. And I was really fascinated by how multiple 6, 7, 8-figure earners were thinking. It really challenged a lot of my beliefs. But what it did was it planted another seed inside of me to keep going because I started to see what was possible. Even when things weren't going the way I may have wanted them to, I really started to see what was possible. And that has kept me in the game. It kept me in the game of not giving up because I had people encouraging me. And I know sometimes you might find yourself in a room where maybe you're not making as much money as other people, but I don't want you to use that and say, well, I'm not making as much money, so I can't contribute to the room. What I actually realized is that being in those rooms, my opinions were still respected. My perspective was still looked upon as something valuable in the room. I was the one that was thinking that I wasn't good enough because I wasn't yet making the kind of money that they were making. So they wouldn't want to hear what I wanted to contribute to the space. But so many of them would often say, ooh, that's a good idea. That's a good vantage point. Because my creativity is not the same as theirs. And that's the whole purpose. We tend to make things about money all the time when people who are making so much more money don't make it about the money at all. And so when you are in a brand new environment, when you're in a new room, you're going to grow into that room because right now you are growing, but you're a shark and you're inside of a fishbowl. Your environment is making you feel constrained. And so if you are feeling that, then you're going to be constricted in your words, you're going to be constricted in your voice, and you're also going to be constricted in your actions. You're not going to want to outshine anybody or outpace anybody. But when you are in these bigger rooms, you're in an ocean. You are now a shark in an ocean. You're not a shark in a fishbowl that feels so constrained. You're in an ocean with other people who believe in abundance and know that you winning doesn't impact them and them winning doesn't impact you because everybody gets to win. It's only people at the bottom that are competing and thinking, well, if I win, you can't win, and vice versa. It doesn't work like that. There's more than enough for everyone, and everyone is serving different markets. Everyone is serving a different audience. So I really want you to understand how essential your environment is, and I want you to audit your environment and pay attention to your behaviors, the way that you respond to the people around you, are you responding in a way that you truly desire to be, or are you responding in a way that they desire you to be? Because that is going to hurt you. How you do one thing is how you do everything. Number two is you want to learn and implement. Multiple 6, 7, 8-figure, 9-figure earners, they are learning and implementing. Whereas people are just learning, pretending to implement or thinking that they have implemented something, because the very nature of learning can trick the brain into thinking that you have taken action. But you haven't taken any action. It's just mentally you've done a couple of cartwheels, making you think that you've taken action. And you're like, whew, I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling fatigued, or I'm feeling challenged, or I'm feeling like I've got some discomfort, all because you just had some thought processes around what you learned. The mere fact that you understand something does not mean that you have taken action on it, and doesn't mean that you've created an experience with it. But that is how the brain can trick itself, or you can trick the brain into thinking that you've taken action. And this is why many people feel, well, why is it not working for me? If you are thinking that, or you're asking that question, then I want to ask you, are you learning or are you implementing? Because you get to do both. You learn something, you implement it. You learn something else, you go implement that. You learn something new, you go implement that. And you keep going back and forth. You don't have these long gaps of learning and these short gaps of implementation. Part of the reason why people are successful quickly is because they implement twice as fast, 10 times as fast as the average person. Whereas you might be seeing incremental growth in your business, they are seeing exponential growth in their business because they are taking action exponentially faster than the rate of their learning. But if you are consistently in this learning consumption phase, then you are just fooling yourself into thinking that you're taking action. And listen, many of us have been there. If you've been on this journey, you know what it's like to consume, but we got to stop ourselves. We got to stop ourselves and say, am I implementing anything that I have learned? So find the area in your business right now where you're not seeing any results. Maybe it's in attracting new leads. Maybe it's converting those leads. Maybe you're not getting your emails out. Maybe it's on a sales call, wherever it might be. And then go learn something and then say, I'm going to implement this thing in my business for 30 days. Too many of you are implementing something one time and then saying it didn't work, but you didn't give it enough time for it to actually work because the discomfort was too much for your body to handle. You couldn't handle that tension. And so now you're like, I'm out. I'm not doing that. And then you go learn something else. And you're in this cycle of learning without actually implementing anything. So don't get stuck in overconsumption. Number 3 is not being desperate for the sale. If there is something I learned being in those rooms, is that people who are making money are not desperate for the sale. They know exactly who they're talking to, and they're okay when they hear no. The problem with people who still need validation, who are still using their business as a way to affirm and prove themselves, you are still looking for a yes. And anytime you get a no, you're like, oh man, I got a no. You're taking that as such a hard personal hit to yourself without realizing that person just might not be the best fit for what you offer. That person might say yes, and they might be a headache. They might not be somebody that you truly desire to serve, or who could even get the best benefit or the best results from what it is you do. But you are so wanting and needing that validation that you're hoping everybody says yes. And this boils down to that people-pleasing tendency where you need to make sure that everybody likes you. And so you're now using your business as validation of if people like you or not, based on them being able to say yes. That's not how this works. Business is about what you give to people, not about what you get from people. And that's what I learned being in those rooms early on, is that they're not looking for everybody to say yes. In fact, they are actually looking for people to say no. When I was more active in my network marketing business, one of the first books I read was Go for No. I can't remember who wrote that. Eric Worre, I think, maybe. Don't quote me on the author. But the title of the book is Go for No. And it's about how many no's you can get. One of my mentors, Myron Golden, says that when he was going for no, he would look for 10 no's a day. And let's say he got to number 7 and that 8th person or that 7th person said yes, then he would just start back over again with number 1 looking for no. You've got to be able to hear the word no and not shrink back and not want to hop back into your fishbowl and play small. You want to be able to hear no and stay in the ocean, because you are not meant to serve everybody and everybody is not meant to serve you. You're not buying from every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there, just like every person is not buying from you. You are meant to serve a very specific group of people. There are people that are going to be attuned to your ears. They're going to be attuned to your voice, or I should say their ears are attuned to your voice. And because of that, they're going to know, ooh, you're my person. You're going to be able to help me. People are going to find resonance with you because you're not looking for everybody to buy. You looking for everyone to buy means you need validation. It means there's a part of your belief system that doesn't yet believe in the value that you bring to the marketplace. You don't yet believe in the ability of your offer to get results for them. And so you are looking for your audience to believe before you believe. You are looking for your audience to confirm and affirm you before you actually start to see them in your content. Content is about them. It is not about you. But when you are still wrapped up emotionally with not feeling good enough, then you're going to make your business about you, and it's going to repel all of your potential clients. It's going to repel an audience. So multiple 6, 7, 8-figure, 9-figure earners, they're not desperate for a sale. They don't need the money in their pocket right now. They are so comfortable with no. Number 4 is emotionally mature and spiritually intelligent. Emotionally mature and spiritually intelligent. This boils down to, how do you handle your emotions in business? Business is very simple. It is very cut and dry. It's the human component that might make business feel more complicated than it needs to be. And what complicates it are the emotions that we all feel. But if you start to treat emotions as indicators and not decision makers, then you're not going to be emotionally reactive anytime something happens in your business. And this is part of that yo-yo effect. This is part of that hustle versus flow, and why you might feel like you're in this push-pull in your business, because you are push-pull, because you are allowing your emotions to ride the wave, and you are reacting to your emotions rather than reacting to the data that your business is giving you. You want to be able to look at the data and make a decision, not feel an emotion and make a decision because of that emotion. This is so essential. Multiple 6, 7, 8-figure, 9-figure earners are not emotionally reactive when they feel something. Not saying they're not human, not saying they're not authentic. I am saying they have realized where emotions are indicating to them certain things, but then they are making decisions based on the data. Because we all have a story. We all have some kind of a narrative. And it's that narrative that tends to make us go, ooh, like up and down on this emotional roller coaster. But you have got to learn not to respond to every up and down based on that emotion. So, one of the amazing things about business is that it reveals exactly who you are. It reveals what you believe about yourself. It reveals some of the deepest, darkest parts of you that don't ever get exposed when you work a job. There is nothing about a job that truly exposes you, because no matter what, you are going to get paid every week or every 2 weeks. It doesn't matter how you feel about yourself. It doesn't matter if you do a good job, if you do a bad job, if you do a mediocre job. None of that actually matters at a job, because you're going to get paid. But in business, It is about exposing all of the insecurities that are underneath. And oftentimes, what drives people to make these emotionally reactive decisions in business is an insecurity that you are trying to cover up. You are taking an action in your business in order to, or in an attempt to cover up maybe shame that you feel, guilt that you feel, some anxiety that you feel, or overwhelm. You are trying to take action that outpaces that feeling in order to feel good. And now you're looking to get this dopamine hit from your business. You're looking for your audience or your clients to make you feel good about you. So you're emotionally driven. You're trying to soothe yourself. But it's so fascinating to me how people are saying with their lips that they are here to serve, but yet in their actions, they're still making their business all about them. This is so essential if you are building a personal brand. If you are wanting to be famous, if you are wanting to be seen, why are you wanting those things? Are you wanting those things because as a child you were never seen, you were never heard? Someone told you to sit down, be quiet, don't speak up? And especially for us women, ladies are to be seen and not heard. So you decided to go back and just shrink. Business will expose all of these things. And we will often use our business to justify ourselves. You will use business to see yourself in a greater light than how others may have seen you growing up or how you see yourself growing up. And so you want to use your business as this status. You want to use your business as a way to show people who you are. But what you've done is you've kind of created this external model of this image of what you're trying to hold up. I often imagine this like a mirror. Like if you've got a mirror and you're holding it up and you're like this, holding this mirror up, hoping that people see you the way that you want them to see you versus the way that you truly are. And that is what I realized about people who are making more money in their business. They don't care how other people see them. They don't care because they're on a mission, they're on an assignment. And if you are building for the kingdom, then you definitely don't care what man thinks about you. And it doesn't mean that we're rude and we're nasty and we're like don't care about anybody. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that you have to be willing to be misunderstood because you are on an assignment. The creator put us here for a purpose, for a function, to complete a task, to serve people. And when people are doing that, you will be misunderstood. Everybody ain't gonna get it, and everybody ain't supposed to get it, and that's the point. But you are desiring too much to be understood, that you're not fully stepping into the power and the authority that you are given so that you can demonstrate to your audience that you understand them. And as a byproduct, then the money will flow. What I love to study about high earners is how much they're like, nah. Not saying it doesn't hurt their feelings, not saying it doesn't bug them from time to time. They're still human. However, their assignment and their mission is a million times more important than any person trying to say anything bad about them. When you fully understand this, you start to realize that we are here to please God and serve people, not please people, serve people. That's a very big distinction. This is where the term people pleaser comes in. We're trying to please people, make them happy. We can't, not without losing ourselves. That's not what we're here to do. There's only one person to please. And I think that right there takes so much off of our plate when we only have one person to please and he takes care of the rest. So we got to be able to align our identity. And when I say spiritual intelligence, it means that we have aligned our identity with our maker. I did a presentation around developing your identity in Christ, and I was doing a word study on the word identity. And identity comes from the Greek idem, I-D-E-M, which means the same. And it comes from the Hebrew translation, oneness. So I posed the question, who is your identity the same as or one with? Is that a good question? I certainly think so. Because if you are pleasing man and pleasing people, that means that your identity is the same as or one with them. But when you are pleasing God, your identity is the same as or one with Him. And that's the only way we winning out here. That's it. He's the one that's orchestrating all the results. Our job is to develop ourselves emotionally and spiritually. And once we're doing those things, he's taking care of the rest. We are becoming the person that we need to become in order to receive the gifts. All right, we are on to number 5. Understand that money is a byproduct. I think this is the fascinating thing about entrepreneurship is understanding that money is a byproduct of value. The value that you are putting into the marketplace is how you get paid. You get paid in direct proportion to the value that you are putting out there. And so 6, 7, 8-figure, 9-figure earners are not trying to get money. Funny enough, money really isn't even on their mind. And I'm saying this, I have not hit 7 figures. I've hit 6, but I have not hit 7. And I'm in rooms with people who are multiple 7, multiple 8-figure earners, having amazing conversations. And when I listen to them, they don't care about the money. I'm not saying money is not important. What I am saying that they are saying is that money is not the most important. They're not chasing after the money. They understand money is a byproduct. They are looking to see how they themselves can make themselves more valuable in the marketplace, more valuable to so many other people. And so we have to be in a position where you're not making money the thing that you're chasing after. They're not chasing after money. They already know money's going to come. And also, they trust the provider. They trust where the money is coming from. But when you are in a space of wanting to grow your business and you don't quite see it happening, it's very easy for you to start chasing money, which means you're chasing the wrong thing. Money is not meant to be chased after. There's nothing to chase after with money. You don't have to go anywhere to go get it. It literally comes to you. It falls into your lap out of obedience of the assignment. It falls into your lap by pleasing God. It falls into your lap by serving people, by solving a problem for them, by not keeping this, whatever solution you have, not keeping it to yourself. It comes from understanding that what you have to say is valuable. And as a result, money just flows. You've got to pay attention to the input that produces the money, the input that increases your ability to be a person who has the capacity to serve more people, who has a capacity to have skills that help people transform their lives. So when you understand that, then you're not chasing money ever. You're not making everything about the money. You understand that it's going to come, and you're okay with building whatever you got to build in order for the money to start flowing in. Whatever system you got to create, whatever products you're putting out into the marketplace, it becomes so easy for you to just show up and be. Too many people desire to have more and they end up doing more, but they've missed the key ingredient, which is being more. Business is not about what you know, and it's not about how much you do. It's all about who you are being. Who are you when you're responding to making a big decision? Who are you when you are leading people into a transformation or facilitating a change? Who are you when you get a rejection? Who are you when someone says no? Who are you when someone says something mean or rude or bad about you? Who are you when someone challenges what you've put on the internet? Are you coming back at them all snarky? Can you defend what you're saying without putting other people down? Who are you in those moments? So, understanding money as the byproduct. Number 6 is they aren't on a timeline. When I see people transition from a job to entrepreneurship, and when I say transition, I mean you're still working your job, but you are building a business alongside, there is a tendency to want to create or make the money in your business just as fast as you get paid when you start a new job. You start a new job on Monday, guess what? You're going to get paid on Friday. You start a business on Monday, you might not get paid for another 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, two. It just depends on where your skill sets are. It depends on where your emotional maturity level is, your spiritual intelligence. It depends on way more factors. And that's not something that I think most people realize. I saw something the other day on someone's Instagram feed that said, it takes a lot longer than you think. And someone was like, well, I see people making money in, two weeks. Sure, that happens. But can we take a look at what their background was? Can we take a look at their skill set? Can we take a look at who they are already as a person? What their character development is like? What their discipline is like? Could we take a look at all of that? Could we take a look at their emotional maturity, their character development? We got to look at that before we look at how fast someone has made money. And just because someone has made money quickly doesn't mean they're going to keep that money. And you don't know what people sacrifice in order to make money. Somebody might have sacrificed a marriage, they might have sacrificed a relationship with a child just based off of how they might have been hustling. I want you all to understand that when you are truly building something and you're on a mission, it doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter how long it takes. And that is something that high earners have realized quickly. They're not giving up because there is something innate about them, something innate about us. If you've made it this far in the video, then you're one of the real ones. You start to understand that it doesn't matter how long it takes, you're going to keep going on this journey because this journey is the ultimate personal development. It is the ultimate understanding of who you are. It reveals you. And you can't do any of it without God helping you to reveal things about yourself. Dear Lord, search my heart and examine my mind. Help me to pull out the weeds out of my heart that are keeping me from you and are keeping me from the inheritance that you have for me. That is a prayer. Use it and say it. I want you to understand that when you are building something for an assignment, it really doesn't matter. There is no timeline. But if you are in it for the money and you need money to come in right now, then you need to go get a job, or you need to make sure that you can support yourself and be stable at a job before quitting your job in order to go full time or take full action in your business. Don't put yourself in a survival state of being. Understand that you're not going to get paid in the same frequency, same fashion, same manner as you are at a job. Entrepreneurship can be a roller coaster, especially in the beginning, until you yourself are grounded and solid and you get your systems up and you've mastered yourself and you've mastered understanding how to operate within the realm of business. It could feel like, man, how long is this going to take? Well, my question is, what else are you going to do? I remember when people would ask me when I was more active in my network marketing, which I still am, just not as much. They would say, well, how long are you going to do this for? I was like, what kind of question is that? Like, what else would I be doing? Do what? Continue to work at a job that doesn't fulfill me? Continue to work at a job where I don't see myself loving and wanting to be in? And it had nothing to do with not loving the patients I was treating. I love the patients I was treating. I actually really enjoy servicing people in that way. But the assignment on my life was bigger and different, in a different realm. My roles had changed. I was brought into being a physical therapist to learn how to communicate, to learn how to break down complex things and simplify them, which is why my coaching business is the way that it is now. Being a PT was a training ground. It was a training ground for me to understand what it means to make someone else feel seen, because people were coming to me in pain, what it means to make someone else feel better about themselves, mind, body, spirit, soul, all of that. I got shown a mind-body connection. I got shown a different realm other than just do this bicep curl to make your arm stronger or do these squats to make your legs stronger after a surgery. It was way bigger than that. I got shown a different realm of healing, a different realm of how people operate. And I also really learned human behavior. And people ask me, like, how did you learn what you learned? I'm like, I was always doing it as a clinician. The way that people come in taught me so much about people's psychological state of being, how people really saw themselves, and how certain things manifested in their body. So when people ask you, well, how much longer are you going to do that? I'm like, and do what else? Stay being unhappy, stay living someone else's dream, staying as a shark in a fishbowl. That wasn't for me. And so if you're listening to this right now and you're thinking to yourself, man, I am definitely a shark in a fishbowl. I'm not saying quit your job. I'm saying, are you in the right rooms? I'm saying, have you put a timeline on when this needs to happen, where you need to make millions of dollars in your business? Have you put a timeline on quitting your 9 to 5? Have you put a timeline on any of those things? Because when you're truly walking with God, there is no timeline. When you are in an experiential nature with him and you're understanding how he operates, there is no timeline. He could snap his fingers and you can get some amazing deal that sets you and your family for life. There could be anything that happens. He loves surprises. He does not follow a logical timeline. My pastor said to me this morning that I was very heavy on her mind this week, and I had to think to myself, well, I had to think back like what I was going through this past week. And she's like, I was praying for you, but here's my word. She's like, don't forget, God does not work in logical steps. He works in obscurity. He'll just send something out of nowhere. And I just had to kind of chuckle to myself because there's so many things right now coming out of nowhere, but we know where nowhere is. Nowhere is his hand. Nowhere is his orchestration. So we got to stop using those words, right? Coming out of nowhere, because we know where it does come from. And those are his surprises. So I pass that message along to you right now, which is things are not logical with him. And so you have to endure this process. You have to endure what he is shaping you for. So many people want the quick success, but the quick success doesn't sustain because there's a part of yourself that needs to keep showing up a certain way in order to maintain that success. If you got there and hustle, you'll have to keep hustling in order to keep it. Because if you stop hustling, you've now entered into the room a lot of fear because now you're worried that you're not going to be able to sustain your business the exact same way because the hustle is gone, because it's your hustle that was keeping your business going. This is what I mean when I say you can be going in and out of hustle and flow. Sometimes it's easy and sometimes you're like, man, I'm really forcing this. If you've gotten somewhere through force, you'll have to keep forcing it in order to keep those results. And letting go and not forcing and allowing your creative flow to truly come through will feel like, oh my gosh, it'll feel like panic because now you're going to think that you're going to lose everything. So when you see people having these quick results, well, if they got there through hustle, they're going to have to keep hustling in order to stay there. Or they're going to have to do some deep internal work. So what seems like the secret sauce to multiple 6, 7, 8-figure, 9-figure earners, what seems like the secret sauce that they all have is made in the kitchen. What you're seeing is whatever food people are serving you, that's just the finished product. So when you see people online that are doing all the things, that's the finished product. Were you in the kitchen with them? Were you stirring up the secret sauce? Do you understand how they have had to audit their environment, audit their circle of friends, develop themselves emotionally, spiritually, building up character, building up spiritual intelligence? Have you been in the kitchen with them? Because until you're in the kitchen with a person doing all that, then you're just thinking you don't have the secret sauce. But the secret sauce is, are you learning and implementing? Or are you just learning without any implementation? So you got to take all of this into consideration. There is no secret sauce. The secret sauce is actually the things that you haven't yet done, the things that you haven't yet stepped into, the power that you haven't yet claimed, the authority that you haven't yet owned. That is the secret sauce. So what you are doing off camera will determine how you show up on camera. So if you are only wanting to be on camera, but you don't do anything offline, then you're not cultivating what needs to be cultivated in order to have the successful business that you desire to have. All right. And then last but not least, which I honestly think that this is probably the most important. And it piggybacks really well from number 6, because high earners are not needing a result to happen immediately because they're paying attention to this, number 7, which is becoming the person. Becoming the person. What I mean by that is a combination of steps 1 through 6 that I have just given you. Becoming the person means that you are auditing your environment, that you are taking a look at your circle, and you are cutting ties where you need to cut ties, having hard conversations where you need to have a hard conversation. You are actively seeking out coaching and mentorship, where you are actively seeking out rooms that are larger than what you've been in. You are putting an investment into yourself. You are developing yourself emotionally. You're not just reading the books, but you're actually going through the hard stuff. You're asking yourself the hard questions. When you ask yourself hard questions, you're going to get right answers. The problem is too many of you are afraid of what those answers reveal. But it's in the revelation of those answers that you're going to have a breakthrough. It's in the very thing that you are afraid to look at that you are going to have the breakthrough. It is always a mirror. What you are seeing in your business right now is a reflection of your belief system. Everything you see and everything you don't see is a reflection of your belief system. But when you are actively becoming the person who learns and implements, the person who takes quick action, the person who takes quick action without needing to be clear, without needing to feel ready, the person who's willing to be misunderstood, because they know through being misunderstood by the masses that they will be understood by those they are meant to serve. You've got to get this. You've got to get this. This will keep you out of hustle. This will put you into flow and keep you in flow. And you won't be teeter-tottering in your business going back and forth between hustle and flow. You won't be doing that. I literally have this on my wall. Hustle is crossed off and it says align. I want you all to understand that these are the 7 practical things that high earners are doing consistently, that they are intentional about, that they have built the foundation of themselves on, so that way their business can thrive. Because they are decision makers. They don't need to do everything, but even just in going through these 7 steps, they can now hire the best talent in their business. They realize that they don't need to be the ones to do it all because they don't have to prove anything. They understand what it means to hire great talent. But if you are somebody right now that needs to prove it all, then you're never going to hire anybody because you're going to think that you need to do it all. So I want you to understand this is how it works. So you've got to implement these 7 practical strategies and be very intentional about doing it. Because if you're not intentional about doing it, your business isn't going to grow. Or if it does grow, you'll be in that hustle camp and you're going to have to keep doing that until whenever. If you are somebody right now that is desiring to grow your business and you are looking for one-on-one support, mentorship, or help, I have a link down below. You can apply and we can work together one-on-one, but I also have a group program as well. But you and I can have a call and you can just see, well, what is the best fit for you? Share this video with a business bestie. Drop in the comments what was the biggest aha or takeaway for you from this video, and I will see you all in another one. Bye.